right? All right. I would normally sit up here and have my intro going on, but I don't feel like going through the whole entire intro. If you haven't heard my intro basically means it's just basically a call, not a call to arms. It's a prayer and a mission statement at the same time. And forgive me, I just don't feel like playing the whole thing right now. Yeah, it's still going. All I had to do is put stop on it. You see the title. We are going to go ahead and jump right into it. The title is called uh, Your Test is Coming Too. A few weeks ago, I posted a test speaking to a lot of people who call themselves prophesying in on social media and especially on YouTube. Like, I can't avoid it. There's not too much I can do to avoid having certain videos that are worth seeing and looking at when it comes to somebody talking about the word of spreading the gospel. It seems like for every one video I see with somebody just really talking about the word, spreading the gospel, there's at least 7 or 8 more that follows up with all of this prophesying and everything or whatever they call it. And I'm not saying God can't use people like that, but what I am sitting up here saying is as we drink this black coffee, I'm not even speaking to the people who do that. What I'm speaking to is the people who actually listen to them and who listen to the same person over and over and over and over and over again, always having a new thing to say, always saying something new is coming your way, always saying, God told me to stop right now and tell you this. I'm not even talking to the people who always post that. I'm talking to the people who always listen to that. I want you to understand what I mean when I say your test is coming too. Um, what I mean when I say your test is coming too, and it's not, I get it, I understand. It's not like I can really sit up here and legitimately say that you have a test coming. I'm not a prophet. I'm not an apostle. I'm not anything. I don't even like, nor would I ever want to be addressed by a title, and I have my reasons for that. But the reason why I'm speaking and saying your test is coming too is because the time is coming to where you are going to have to see if you can survive without having someone always tell you that something is coming your way. I hope you can understand and realize that God actually can speak to all of us on an individual basis. God would actually love to speak to all of us on an individual basis, but what you have to do is understand how God speaks to you. And it's not by listening to 4 or 5 different people all sit up here and tell you on one end, love is coming your way. On the other end, you got a new position coming. On the other end, get focused and get locked in. First of all, the ones who sit up here and say get focused and get locked in, we wake up every day realizing we need to get focused and get locked in. So I can't even say that what they're doing is even prophetic at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of it is prophetic. But for the people who constantly listen to them, the time is coming to where you're going to have to go against what they have been saying, and you're going to have to really truly put faith in God. And I could be sounding exactly like them by saying that, and I completely understand that. I understand the ridicule, and I understand saying I'm talking double standards, however you want to say it. All I know is I want people to be more. I want people to have more faith in God than we do in people leading us to God. I want people to have more faith in God than we do in people leading us to God. I want people to have more faith in God, excuse me, than we do people leading us to God. If you don't know, a lot of those people, and I didn't even want to go in this direction, but I guess I need to God be the glory. If you don't know, a lot of the people, and it's a couple of them who I still look at every now and then, like Wisdom Speaks Life. You know, I love looking at her stuff just because of her story that she's telling in the midst of encouraging and uplifting people. She has a very strong yet soft voice, and I think she has a presence that needs to actually be seen a little bit more publicly, which I understand. But I look at her testimony, I look at how she encourages people, and everything she talks about is love is on the way, love is on the way, love is on the way. Your spouse is right around the corner. Your spouse has been waiting for you just like you've been waiting for them, but you got to get in line. That's her testimony. That's her testimony. It's a couple of other ones who I look at who always say, you got something new for you. Excuse me, I apologize. You got something new headed your way. You got this coming at you. That's their testimony. A lot of us, including me, we get on here and we speak on things that we feel like are relative to us. It is ridiculously easy for me to get on here and tell you that you got blessings coming your way that I really truly believe are coming my way. And I want to sit up here and share the blessings, share the wealth, share the growth, or whatnot. But it's enough of us already out there doing that. My goal is to get you to think about it in a more sensible aspect and to tell you God can and will speak to you through those individuals. But every single message that you see telling you you got this coming and you got that coming is not for you. So the test, excuse me again, the test that's coming, and let me speak to this in a more personal manner. I've been feeling tested lately. My daughter left her headband here, and I've been playing with it. It only happens when I turn the camera on. Before the record, before I jump back into it, have you ever noticed how difficult it is to yawn when your back hurts? That's not a good feeling. But I've been feeling tested lately. I've been feeling tested on a lot of things, but one of the major things I've been feeling tested on is where I get my revelation from, who I get my revelation from, how I get my revelation. And not too long ago, I was in the same boat to where I needed to look at a lot of people doing these things who always had a prophetic word. And for some reason, their prophetic word was always on time and it was always right up my alley. Well, of course, it is. YouTube plays to the algorithm like that to give you exactly what you're looking for. So if I look at one person more than once to where they're telling me all this prophetic words, then clearly some more are going to come my way. That's telling me something similar. And it's easy to latch onto it. It's easy to grab onto it and say, yes, Father God, show me this, show me that, show me that. I could get extremely deep into it, but all I know is one day I woke up and I told myself this, and this is the kind of the message that I'm hoping to get across to you as well. One day I woke up and I told myself, or rather I say it dropped in my spirit, that I don't need to focus so much on these YouTube prophets and prophetesses or whatever they call themselves, because it indeed can hinder what God is trying to do with me. It dropped in my spirit that listening to these people who speak a real feel-good message, and that's really all it is. It's not even prophesying. It's just a real feel-good message. That's all it is. It's something to make you feel good about your life and about where you're at. And I'm not necessarily knocking that, but this walk with God is not always peaches and cream. So I started thinking about how always expecting that feel-good message and always looking for that feel-good message could actually hinder my true growth with Christ. And I believe eventually we all are put to the fire. We're put to the test. We all are put to the test. And I got put to the test to where I had to decide whether I wanted to keep listening to other people tell me what God has in store for me, and or if I wanted to go at it and really get a connection with God for myself. And let me explain something to you about constantly listening to people who keep telling you what God has in store for you, giving you the same feel-good message that you hear in these for-profit organizations. They love saying they're non-profit, but for these for-profit organizations covering themselves up and pretending to be nonprofit organizations. Let me tell you what happens when you keep wanting and looking for that feel-good message that just tickles your fancy and makes you feel so fantastic inside. The problem with always listening to a feel-good message is it doesn't prepare you for when something actually happens. Some of them will sit up here and say something like, but you got to go through this, you got to go through that. That is so common. That is so automatic and routine. It ain't really telling you anything that you got a blessing coming your way, but you have to go through something first. Duh. We know that anybody who's been saved or anybody who's lived and became an adult know that you're going to go through things either way it goes, and that usually when you make it to the other side, there's going to be something better waiting for you. So that's not that's not prophecy or anything like that. But let me get back to it. Like, okay, what I was saying is that it doesn't prepare you for what being a man or woman of God, because some people get offended by Christian and say that's a negative term. Honestly, I don't care. I like to consider myself a man of God, but you call me a Christian, I'm not going to blow up in your face and say, oh, don't call me that. Excuse me. Point being is that it doesn't prepare you for everything that's really going on. For one, that's the first thing. Realize I didn't write any of this down. I'm just really talking. But the first thing is that it does not prepare you for what's really going on in the world, or what could really happen to you specifically in your walk with Christ. So while you're listening to all these feel-good messages, you're opening yourself up for things to happen to you, and you're not prepared to fight these things, because this leads me to the second thing. Because, two, you're constantly looking and hoping for that feel-good thing to manifest. You're constantly looking out for it, wondering where it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who will be the person to deliver it to you, and so forth and so on, and blah, 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 yada, 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 blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Again, I could get real deep into this and to tell you how powerful the mind is, but we're going to save that for another time. The point is, while you're constantly looking for the blessing to come, or this quote prophetic word unquote to manifest, we tend to get so focused on the blessing or on the quote unquote manifestation that we're looking for, it takes our eyes completely off of God. Oh yeah, we really truly believe it is God. We really truly think that we still following and serving God. But every morning we waking up thinking, oh my God, is today going to be the day that that blessing comes? We go through our day going places. Maybe I need to go here because it's going to show up here. And I'm telling you about things that I've been through. But I know other people go through it too. You're like, maybe if I show up here, it'll pop up. Maybe if I do this, it'll pop up. Maybe if I go do that, it'll pop up. Yo, let me flip this around and let me try this. Let me see what else I need to do for this to pop up. Bing, bing, bing. We loading up YouTube again, listening to the same person or the same couple of people who are saying basically the same thing every single episode. They're not saying anything too different because they're speaking of their own life and their own testimony, and they're not really delivering. I can't say they're not delivering substance, but you know what? I'm going to say they're not really delivering substance. They're delivering you the icing on the cake, but they're not delivering you the ingredients and everything that it takes to make the cake. And on top of all that, make the icing to put on the cake. So it's dangerous to get to a point to where you're more focused on the blessing than the deity who actually can give the blessing. It's dangerous. It's a very, very, very dangerous position to be in, because from now on, the only thing you're going to be focused on is that even if it manifested, you're going to be focused on the next blessing. What's the next thing to focus on? And the only reason why you're going to start serving God and call yourself getting closer to God is because you're waiting on the next blessing to manifest. You're waiting on the next blah, blah, blah to manifest. You're waiting on your love interest to manifest. And you keep waiting and waiting and waiting on that. God can't do anything with you. When I say I have been tested, I literally mean it's gotten to the point to where I could feel God, like if I could actually truly face God it would be God sitting me down and telling me, bruh, you need to chill out with all that stuff you watching, because I understand they say God said, and that could be for other people, but how do you know it's specifically for you just because it makes you feel good? How do you know I don't have something else prepared for you? You're not even listening to me. You're listening to other people tell you about me and what I have in store for you instead of coming to me asking me for yourself. If God were to sit me down and actually talk like that in a way that we could actually hear and touch and smell, makes me kind of wonder now, like, what does or what would God smell like? Would God even have a smell? Uh, I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Like, uh, would God even have a smell? Would God even have a smell? That's interesting. But basically, this is what you would see in a tangible situation instead of believing in the spirit that God will send his angels or his warriors. God will send his it's this really what is this word I'm looking for that makes you sound really intelligent, and I can't think of it right now. It's not confidence. Uh, I don't know, but anyway, God will send who God needs to send to bless you at the time that you need to be blessed. But we tend to easily get our eyes off of God because we're more concerned about the blessings that God has in store for us. If you ask me, 100, like 99.5% of the people who believe in God and who follow God are in it just because God can do things for them. And you can tell the ones who really sit up here and are like that because they'll immediately say, I ain't in it for the blessings, but I'm glad that God will bless me for it. They'll say something like that, which is really just double talking in its finest form. Um, but as I've been feeling myself being tested to step away from listening to a lot of people, and this was a couple of months ago, but it's been hitting me more even recently, I've learned how even more God will show me things and God will really open up doors for me to see what God really wants me to see. Most of the time, the problem that we have is looking for a spiritual being to show us something in a tangible way. God mainly will speak to you through feeling. And I get it. I'm sitting up here saying God will speak to you through feeling. And I just said people that sit up here and prophesy and say everything they can to tickle your fancy and make you feel good. Sounds contradictory. I can understand that. But when I say God will tell you what he wants you to do through feeling, you will know when is God. You will absolutely have no doubt that is God. There will not be a question in your mind that may let you know is God. And everything that you feel will not make you feel good, but you will feel at peace. There's a major difference. Everything you feel when God speaks to you will not make you feel good, but it will always bring you peace, even when God prepares you for the tests that are to come. And as we really round this out, let me tell you about my test that I feel like I'm walking straight into. Or I'll tell you what, I'm not going to tell you about my test because telling you about my test will open me up to get tested even more. And I actually want to pass this test. But let me tell you how to understand if you're being tested and if you're getting ready to be tested. And it's really, really, really obvious. It's very, very obvious. But sometimes we don't, when God prepares us for a test to make sure we pass, just like in school, we get the answers. We get ways to study to find the answers. And a lot of times what God will do is God will have multiple sources that have absolutely no connection to each other tell you the same thing in different ways. Like, let's say your test is finding the perfect job. You want a better job, you want to work a better position. Let's say that's what your test is, right? Here it is. God's telling you that a job is coming, but God is telling you to really pay attention to the job. So you have somebody sitting up here coming to tell you. You have somebody that tells you, be careful what you ask for. Somebody to come and tell you, be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you pray for. Then you'll have someone else come and tell you, like every time you turn around, you think you've been praying for this job and you consider it to be the job of your dreams. Then when you get it, it's not turned out. It doesn't turn out to be all you thought it would be. You get somebody to sit up here and tell you that. You'll have another person to sit up here and say, man, I was living a life according to other people. I had a perfect job, but I hated myself working that job. You'll have people come tell you things in so many different ways that you will absolutely know it's God, because you know there's absolutely no connection, and the only connection could be God trying to get a message to you. That's God preparing you for the test. Now, for one person, it could be about a job. For another person, it could be about a place to live. For somebody, which seems to be the thing with a lot of us, including myself, is that we keep waiting on the kingdom husband, the kingdom wife, and we feel like a test may be coming in that way. But it could be a whole bunch of different things. It could be you having to get in better shape. It could be you, I don't know, your relationships with your kids. It could be anything. It could be a whole lot of things. But constant reminders on what happens before you even go through it, what could happen when you go through it. Like, especially, I didn't want to touch on this, but especially those of us who actually want to get married. And we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves. I lie to myself. I sit up and tell myself, like, yeah, well, I don't want to necessarily say I lie to myself as much as I'm not. I don't know. I guess if I say it like that, it is a lie either way it goes. So what I'm trying to say is, as bad as I want to be married, I can sit up here and say from sun up to sundown, oh yeah, I really do want a significant other. I don't like staying by myself, which I don't. I do want a wife. I've always wanted to be married, but I've always wanted to be married to the right woman and not just be able to say that I'm married. So I actually do really truly want a wife. I actually do really truly not like living by myself, and I want somebody to live with. I want somebody that we can take turns cooking in the kitchen, and we may sit up here and complain about little small stuff around the house. I actually have gone through that experience a couple of times, and apparently I liked it more than the people I was in a relationship with. But I want us to be able to say, hey, have a good day every single day, check on this person every single day. I want the whole motion of a marriage. I want this thing that I hear people talk about, to where I can sit up here and say my wife is my best friend. I want us to be business partners. I want us to really have a connection to where we can pray together and pray separate, where we can fast together and fast separately, and respect each other for fasting, to understand what it means to come together as one. I want that type of connection and that type of relationship. But I have to admit, I have to honestly and truly admit to myself, which is what a lot of us do not want to acknowledge. One of the main reasons why I want to be married is because I want to legitimately have sex. I want to legitimately have sex. July 29th, and this is what makes me think my test is coming up. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I guess I need to. July 29th, I will be celibate for 1 full year. Celibate means, and I guess I'll play along with you too to make sure I can reach more people. When I say I'll be celibate, what I mean is no type of sexual immorality whatsoever. So when I say no type of sexual immorality whatsoever, I want you to take that as far as you can take it. Well, not as far as you can take it, because there's some weird people out there. But just know it didn't involve me looking at any type of videos and anything, and it doesn't involve any type of self-satisfaction either. So when I say I'm going on a year being celibate, I literally mean a year being celibate. July 29th makes a year that I've been celibate, and it hasn't been the easiest thing to do but it has gotten more tolerable as I've come along. But July 29th, being celibate for a year is a milestone for me. And I have this saying, I say the enemy tests you at the beginning and the enemy tests you at the end of whatever journey or whatever test or whatever quest you're on at that time. And the reason why the enemy will test you at the beginning and test you at the end. Don't get me wrong, you'll get tested in the middle of it too, but your major tests come at the beginning and at the end. The reason why is because when you initially start trying to change up or do something different, you're your most vulnerable. You haven't developed a habit yet. You still have parts of that thing that could easily pull you in, and it could be somebody that could easily pull you in, a smell or something like that that can easily pull you in. And the reason why the enemy will come to you right when you're about to cross the finish line is because whether people believe it or not, we tend to let up our focus when we see the finish line right up ahead. We see the finish line and we're like, oh God, I'm almost there. I'm going to make it. Yes, I'm going to make it. And instead of saying stay focused, stay determined, you ain't there yet. You got to keep going. You still got this time to go, blah, blah, blah. We'll see the finish line and we'll start celebrating as we reach the finish line. Before we reach the finish line. And I'm not saying don't be proud of your accomplishments, but I'm saying sometimes we get so celebratory in our minds and be like, ooh, like me right now, I'm like, man, I got 2 months to go. I got this. Well, I'm not thinking like that, but I'm just giving it as an example. Like, I got 2 months to go. I got this. This ain't going to be nothing. I got 2 months, and I've been celibate for a whole year. To God be the glory. I'm doing things a lot of other people can't do. I'm doing things a lot of other people don't want to do. And immediately thinking like that, I'll be setting myself up for an attack that could nearly take me out. To God be the glory. I'm not thinking like that. But I hope you understand what I mean in this when I say your test is coming too. There's something that we all go through regardless of how we look at it, and God warns us about it every single day. I don't know what your test is. I'm not going to sit up here and try to pretend to know what your test is. I'm not going to proffer lie to you and say that your test is related to my test. If it is, let's pray for each other, brother and sister. If your test is my test to where you know or really feel like you're about to meet your kingdom spouse, and you know that something's going to come creeping up, and you really feel it in your spirit that something else is going to come creeping up first, and it's going to be difficult for you to tell the difference, then let's pray for each other and keep each other strong in this battle and in this fight. Let's keep each other motivated and encouraged. But the one thing I do want to sit up and say before I end this, because I'm getting close to my 30-minute mark. The one thing I do want to sit up here and say about whatever test it is that you're about to go through, what I really truly want you to be prepared for is any and every type of test that there is. And to be prepared for any and every type of test that there is, that means you do not need to try to pinpoint or figure out how the test is going to come. You just wake up every single day. You step outside the house every single day. You get in the house every single day. You hop on social media every single day. You go to your job every single day, go to your grocery store. Whatever it is that you do, every single day you do it. Say, Father, keep me prepared for the test that is to come and give me the tools, strength, and discernment I need to pass the test. Sad part about it is my prayer more likely has been, God, I don't even want to go through the test. So, just keep that test away from me before it even comes to me. Like, I rebuke it right now. I'm rebuking it before it even has a chance to knock on my door. To God be the glory. But it's not going to be like that. So just stay prepared for the test. Stay motivated. Stay encouraged. If anything, remember to stay in prayer. Always stay in prayer. Every single day, ask God for discernment. Remember to walk in. I'm sorry, I got to play this because I have this for this reason. I have to play this. This is, we need to walk in obedience, faith, and discernment. I believe those are three things that will really keep you connected to Christ. And then we have this: wisdom, integrity, valor, and empathy. Wisdom, integrity, valor, and empathy is how we should approach other people in our lives. in our own lives, we walk in obedience, faith, and discernment, and then we become a wife because that's what it's spelled. We become a wife to Christ. I understand some men gonna be like, "Oh, that's gay." Okay, fine, let it be gay. I'm proud to be married to the kingdom, even if um, I'm not gonna say that because that's even weird for me. So, but I'm proud to be married to the kingdom first. Um, but when we approach other people, when we talk to other people, when we deal with other people, if we use wisdom, integrity, valor, and empathy, then there's not too much that we won't be able to overcome or accomplish with other individuals, even if they don't treat us the exact same way. And as I end this, I want to sit up here and tell you to remember my 5 favorite things. Stay focused, stay faithful, stay true to yourself. Treat other people how you want to be treated, and give God all the faith, all the glory, and all the love that God deserves, because God is doing a hell of a lot more in your life than you can ever imagine. I love you, and I know Jesus does too. Thank you for tuning in to Black Coffee, the Black Coffee episode on Thursday. And trust me, we're going to get really real. I'll see you on Sharper Sundays. Peace.